Yo, this is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And our sponsors are Alpha Claims and Hire Birmingham, the leading and best accident management company. Get a replacement car anywhere in 1 hour. I really appreciate you joining me today, and this first story comes from Homerton in East London. There's been a triple shooting and we sent our reporter Dave Nathan down to the scene to find out exactly what had happened. A massive crime scene was in place. There was a bottle of alcohol seen in the street as well. The people were gathered talking and drinking. 3 men have been shot and 1 is seriously injured. Even 2 days later, he's still in intensive care. It's just off the High Street in Nisbet House, which is an old housing estate in the Hackney area. It happened at 10 to 11 on October the 11th, and the officers and ambulances attended to find 3 people with gunshot wounds. 2 men aged 60 and 32 were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and a third man, 24, was taken to hospital and remained in a critical condition. No arrests were made and forensic teams were on the scene. You can see them around the table tennis area, which is actually a big walkway that goes in between the estates. Trident police detectives were also present. Trident detectives from the Specialist Crime Command are investigating and are working closely with their colleagues at the Central East Area Command Unit, and they would like to speak to anyone that believes they're involved in the shooting. So that is understandably going to be very worrying for people in the local area, and we'll definitely keep you updated with anything that's going on in that story. In other news, Sahidul Haq, who is 20 years old from Hounslow, West London, has been jailed after he was found with 120 wraps of Class A drugs concealed in his underwear and also a firearm. He appeared at Oldsworth Crown Court on the 12th of October and was sentenced to 6 years in prison, and is ordered to serve a 3-year extended licence. He pleaded guilty at the same court back in July for the possession of the firearm and also the drugs. At around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, on Sunday the 23rd of February, officers were patrolling in a marked car on Great West Road in Hounslow, and it was indicated for a minicab to stop. The minicab pulled over into a lay-by, but before it had fully stopped, Haig, who was a passenger in the vehicle, jumped out and began to run, as an officer managed to jump out of the police vehicle and grab hold of him. Officers searched him and found a firearm wrapped in a towel, concealed in his underwear. 2 mobile phones and £780 in cash was found in his pocket. He was arrested on suspicion of possession of a firearm and taken to a North London police station for a strip search. When it was completed, they removed white and brown bags from his underwear, and they were confirmed to be 104 wraps of crack cocaine and 18 packets of heroin. His mobile phone also contained messages that supported the charge that he intended to sell drugs. He was further arrested on suspicion of intent to supply. The firearm was sent off to be tested and confirmed to be a revolver with 1 live round in the cylinder. Hack was sentenced to 3 years in custody at Youth Offenders Institute in November 2017 for possession of a firearm, also in a previous offence. And he's prohibited for life from possessing a firearm. So he was in breach of his original licence from before. He answered no comment to all questions during his police interview, and he was charged on Monday the 24th of Feb. Detectives from the Met Trident Police Command said this was a routine traffic stop, and it led to the recovery of 122 wraps of Class A drugs and a loaded firearm, which could have been used to seriously injure or kill someone. So they don't say that this was intelligence-led, they say they randomly pulled over this taxi. Seems very unusual, but it's definitely what they're saying. But also shows that how random sometimes the police can just choose to search a vehicle or a car or a person. And in some North London news from Tottenham, a man who drove a car at a police officer and ran him over trying to escape has been found guilty of attempted GBH with intent. Aydin Altun from Suffolk Road, Tottenham, was convicted on Monday the 12th of October at the Old Bailey, and he'll be sentenced on Friday the 16th of October. Altun was found not guilty of possessing a firearm with intent to endanger life, and Altun's mother, Sultan Altun, who is 54 years old, and his sister, both at the same address, were also on trial for perverting the course of justice, but were found not guilty. The court heard that police officers were investigating reports of a shooting on Fairfax Road in Haringey on the 28th of October 2018. They attended the scene and found an empty car with bullet holes in. A witness reported a black Mercedes leaving the scene. The Metropolitan Police launched an investigation into the shooting. The following day, on the 29th of October, saw a black Mercedes on Tottenham High Road, and armed police officers followed the car into White Hart Lane when it was pulled over partly on the pavement and stopped. A firearms officer approached the front of the car and shouted, "Armed police, show me your hands." CCTV and body-worn footage played in court showed how Altun drove at speed, throwing the officer onto the bonnet. The officer was left holding onto the car as he accelerated down towards White Hart Lane station. Altun tried to throw him off by zigzagging across the road. Sounds very familiar to the story we covered on the Traveller's site, where they dragged the police officer down the street trying to get him off the car by zigzagging. That in actual fact resulted in his death. They said the officer somersaulted off this car and onto the pavement, thankfully missing various bits of street furniture that was in the way. The Mercedes drove off, but officers found it a short time later abandoned on Tiverton Road, with the officer's mobile still wedged in the bonnet and the windscreen. The officer lapsed in and out of consciousness and received significant grazing and cuts to his head, elbow, knuckles and hand, and was taken to hospital but later discharged. The officer said in court, "I remember being scared for my life. I thought I was going to die. I remember thinking the car was going to crash and I was going to die." Altun was identified as the suspect and a manhunt was launched to arrest him. On the 30th of October 2019, he was arrested after he walked into Edmonton Police Station. 4 men, 2 aged 17, 1 aged 18 and 1 aged 19, were arrested on the 30th of September 2019 on suspicion of assisting him. They were taken to a London police station but released with no further action. The Assistant Commissioner Louisa Rolfe says, "We are weeks away from the death of Matt Ratana, and I'm pleased that a criminal that drove a car at a police officer intent on causing his life danger has been convicted. Thankfully, these incidents are rare, and being an officer in London can be tough, and officers face a lot of different issues and problems, but we will continue to make sure that these offenders are taken off the street." So this man was definitely living a very reckless lifestyle. Several examples during that where he could have potentially injured somebody or been killed himself by the police. I really want to hear what people have to say on these stories. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Peace.